He promised to hang her at dawn, but gave her a key at midnight. For a woman named Anna, the rising sun didn't promise a new day, it promised a noose. The entire town of Redemption Point was convinced she was a murderer, and the sheriff himself had promised she would hang at dawn. But why in the dead of night would a man of the law risk everything, his badge, his life, his honor, to help a condemned killer escape? The story begins 3 days earlier, on a Tuesday morning that started like any other in Redemption Point. This dusty town sat in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by cattle ranches and ruled by one man's money. That man was Mr. Thompson, who owned more land than anyone could ride across in a week. His word was law here, even more than the actual law itself. Anna worked at the general store on Main Street. She was 23 years old. With dark hair she kept tied back and hands that stayed busy sorting goods and writing receipts. She had come to town 2 years ago from back east, and folks still called her the newcomer. She didn't talk much about where she came from or why she left. This made people suspicious. In a town where everyone knew everyone else's business, a woman with secrets was a woman who couldn't be trusted. Sheriff Brody had been the law in Redemption Point for 7 years. He was a tall man with grey starting to show in his beard and eyes that missed nothing. People respected him because he was fair. When cowboys got drunk and started fights, he locked them up for the night and let them go in the morning. When someone stole a horse, he tracked them down and brought them back for trial. He believed in the law, followed it like a religion, and never bent the rules, not once in 7 years. Everything changed when they found young Robert Thompson dead behind the saloon. Robert was Mr. Thompson's only son, 25 years old, and known for causing trouble. He drank too much, gambled too much, and thought his father's money meant he could do whatever he wanted. Most folks stayed out of his way when he came to town. Smart people crossed the street when they saw him coming. They found his body on Tuesday morning. He had been stabbed 3 times in the chest. Blood had pooled in the dirt around him, already dried and dark. His expensive pocket watch was still in his vest, and his wallet full of cash lay beside him. This wasn't a robbery. The knife was found 10 feet away, thrown into some bushes. It was a kitchen knife, the kind used for cutting meat. Sheriff Brody recognized it right away. He had seen it the day before when he bought coffee at the general store. It belonged to Anna. The problem was that Anna had been seen arguing with Robert Thompson the night before. Several people heard raised voices coming from behind the store just after sunset. Old Pete, who swept the saloon floors, said he saw Anna running from the alley around 9 o'clock. Her dress was torn, and she looked scared. Sheriff Brody found Anna at her small room above the store. She was sitting at her table, staring at nothing. Her dress from the night before was folded on a chair. There was a rip in the sleeve. "Anna," the sheriff said quietly, "I need you to come with me." She looked up at him with hollow eyes. "I didn't kill him. I need you to come anyway." The jail in Redemption Point had 2 cells. One was usually occupied by drunks sleeping it off. The other was for serious criminals. That's where Sheriff Brody put Anna. She sat on the hard bench and pulled her knees up to her chest. She looked very small. Mr. Thompson arrived within an hour. His face was red with grief and rage. He had 4 of his ranch hands with him, all armed. They stood in the sheriff's office like a small army. "That woman killed my boy," Thompson said. His voice was cold as winter wind. "I want her hanged." "There'll be a trial," Sheriff Brody said. "Judge Whitman will be here Friday." "Trial?" Thompson spat the word like it tasted bad. "We all know what happened. She argued with him. She stabbed him. They found her knife. What more proof do you need? The law says she gets a trial." Thompson leaned across the desk. "The law says a lot of things, Sheriff, but we both know how this ends. That woman swings from a rope, or this town tears itself apart. You choose." After Thompson left, Sheriff Brody sat alone in his office. Something felt wrong about all of this. Anna was a small woman, maybe 5 feet tall and thin as a fence post. Robert Thompson had been over 6 feet and strong from working cattle. How did she overpower him? And why would she leave her own knife at the scene? He walked back to check on Anna. She was still sitting on the bench, not moving. "Tell me what happened," he said. She looked at him through the bars. "Would it matter if I did?" "It might." Anna was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. "Robert came to the store last night after I closed. He was drunk. He tried." She stopped and wrapped her arms around herself. "I pushed him away and ran. That's all. I swear that's all." Sheriff Brody believed her. He didn't know why, but he did. Maybe it was the way she said it, or maybe it was because he knew what kind of man Robert Thompson had been. But belief wasn't proof, and proof was what mattered in court. The next day, Wednesday, the town turned ugly. Word spread fast that Anna had killed Robert Thompson. People gathered in small groups on street corners, whispering and pointing at the jail. Someone painted murderer on the wall of the general store. By noon, they had started building the gallows in the town square. Sheriff Brody tried to investigate. He went back to the scene, looked for witnesses, asked questions, but everywhere he turned, he hit walls. The people who had been in the saloon that night suddenly couldn't remember anything. The bartender, usually chatty as a bird, became silent when asked about Robert's last hours. Then Sheriff Brody found something interesting. Jake Morrison, one of Thompson's ranch hands, had a bruised hand and scratches on his face. When asked about them, Jake said he got them breaking a horse. But Sheriff Brody knew Jake was the best horsebreaker in 3 counties. Horses didn't give him trouble. The sheriff went to see Doc Harris, who had examined Robert's body. The old doctor was nervous, kept looking at the door like he expected someone to burst through. "Doc, I need to know exactly what killed Robert Thompson. 3 stab wounds to the chest, like I told you. Anything else? Any other injuries?" Doc Harris hesitated. Then very quietly he said, "His knuckles were bruised, like he'd been in a fight. And there was dirt under his nails, the kind you get from clawing at the ground." This was new information. It suggested Robert had fought someone before he died, maybe even fought hard. Sheriff Brody filed this away in his mind. Thursday came, and with it came Judge Whitman. He was a small man with thick glasses, who always looked tired. Mr. Thompson met him at his hotel before he even had a chance to put down his bags. They talked for an hour behind closed doors. The trial was set for Friday morning. The hanging, if guilty, would be Saturday at dawn. Sheriff Brody knew how this would go. The evidence would be presented, the knife, the argument, Anna running away. Mr. Thompson's money and influence would make sure no one spoke up for Anna. The judge would find her guilty. She would hang. That night, Thursday night, Sheriff Brody couldn't sleep. He walked the empty streets thinking. The moon was hidden behind clouds, and the town was dark as a grave. As he passed the saloon, he heard voices from the alley. Carefully, quietly, he moved closer to listen. "Should have buried him deeper," one voice said. It was Jake Morrison. "Shut up," another voice answered. "It's done. The woman takes the blame and we're clear. But what if someone finds out it was us? What if they learn Robert pulled a knife on me first, that I was just defending myself? No one's going to find out." Mr. Thompson made sure of that. He'd rather see an innocent woman hang than have people know his son tried to kill someone over a poker debt. Sheriff Brody stood frozen in the darkness. There it was, the truth he had been looking for. Robert had attacked Jake over gambling money. Jake had defended himself, and Robert had died. Mr. Thompson was covering it up to protect his son's reputation, even in death. But what could Sheriff Brody do? He had no proof, just overheard words in the dark. Jake and the others would deny it. Mr. Thompson would use his power to bury the truth even deeper. The law that Sheriff Brody had served all these years was useless against money and lies. Friday's trial was a joke. It lasted less than 2 hours. The evidence was presented. No one spoke for Anna. She sat silent, knowing words wouldn't save her. Judge Whitman found her guilty of murder. She would hang at dawn. They led Anna back to her cell. The crowd outside cheered. Someone had already put a rope on the new gallows, letting it swing in the breeze like a promise. Sheriff Brody stood in his office, staring at his badge. Everything he believed in, everything he stood for, was failing. The law was supposed to protect the innocent. Instead, it was about to kill one. As midnight approached, Sheriff Brody made his decision. He took off his badge and set it on the desk. Then he picked up the spare key to Anna's cell, along with a bag he had prepared. He walked to the jail, his footsteps loud in the silent night. Anna was awake, sitting on her bench. She looked up when she heard him coming. Her face was pale, resigned to her fate. "Come to make sure I'm ready for tomorrow, Sheriff." He unlocked her cell door and stepped inside. From his pocket, he pulled out a cup of still warm coffee and set it on the small table. Then he slid a key across to her. "This is the key to the back door," he said quietly. "In the stable behind the jail, there's a horse, saddled and ready, food and water in the bags, $20 in the left pocket." Anna stared at him, not understanding. "What are you doing?" "What I should have done 2 days ago. You're innocent. I know it. They know it. But the law won't save you, so I will. You'll lose everything. Your job, your reputation. They might even hang you." Sheriff Brody met her eyes. "Some things are more important than a badge. One innocent life is worth more than all the laws in the world if those laws are corrupt. I can't let you. You don't have a choice. If you stay, you die. If you run, you live. That's all that matters now." Anna stood up slowly, like she was afraid this was a dream. Where do I go? North. Keep riding until you hit the railroad. Take the train west. Start over. Become someone new. What about you? I'll handle Thompson and his men. They can't prove I helped you. I'll say you must have had help from someone passing through town. A drifter, maybe. Anna picked up the key with shaking hands. Why are you doing this? Because it's right. Now go. You have maybe 4 hours before they discover you're gone. Anna moved to the door, then stopped. Sheriff Brody, thank you. Don't thank me. Just live. Live well and free. That's all the thanks I need. She disappeared into the darkness. Sheriff Brody heard the soft sound of horse hooves a few minutes later, heading north. He walked back to his office and put his badge back on. Then he lay down on the cot he kept there and waited for dawn. The sun came up red as blood. The crowd gathered early, eager for the hanging. They brought their children, made it a celebration of justice. The gallows stood ready, the rope swaying in the morning breeze. Sheriff Brody walked to the jail, making a show of checking on the prisoner. He unlocked the cell door and stepped inside. Then he came back out. The prisoner has escaped, he announced to the crowd. The silence was deafening. Then it exploded into shouts and curses. Mr. Thompson pushed through the crowd, his face purple with rage. How, he demanded. Looks like she had help. Someone must have unlocked her cell during the night. A drifter passing through, maybe. Someone who didn't agree with hanging a woman. This is your fault, Sheriff. You were supposed to guard her. I was in my office all night. Whoever did this was quiet and quick. Thompson's eyes narrowed. He suspected the truth but couldn't prove it. We'll hunt her down. Every man with a horse. You can try, Sheriff, Brody said calmly, but she has hours of head start. Could be anywhere by now. The crowd dispersed slowly, cheated of their entertainment. Thompson and his men rode out, but they found no trail. Anna had vanished like smoke in the wind. A week later, Sheriff Brody received a letter. No return address, no signature, just 4 words, living well and free. He burned the letter and went back to his work. Justice had been served, even if the law had failed. Sometimes doing right meant breaking rules. Sometimes a midnight key was worth more than a dawn hanging. True justice isn't always found in a courtroom. Sometimes it's found in a quiet act of courage. Sheriff Brody risked everything because he believed a single innocent life was more important than a flawed law. What would you have done in the sheriff's position? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this story of justice in the Old West, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more.